Hello, welcome to Should I Buy This Game, featuring the Great Evening Banquet. My name is Christine, and in this video I'll give you an overview of how the game is played, and then share a few things we may like or dislike about the game to help you decide if you want to add the Great Evening Banquet to your collection. This is the game, the Great Evening Banquet. And in this game, we are seating guests at different tables to score points. Now each table has different requirements. At table A, we want to have at least 2 players with wine. And you will see here some players have a wine glass. So you want to actually have at least 2 players with a wine glass, or 2 guests. At this table here, we do not want any green. Here we want 2 of the older lady at least, and then the other 2 guests can be anybody. Here we do not want any of the young woman. Here we want at least 1 of the young man and the young woman. And here we want at least 2 pink. Now, depending what color you are playing as, there are variations on all of these tiles. So here, for example, whereas we didn't want green, somebody else won't want blue, somebody else won't want pink, and somebody else won't want brown. So it's going to change up. Now, if you are able to succeed when you're placing your guests, then when you score each table, you will get full points. But if you do not succeed in these table requirements, then you will only score half the points. Now, on top of that, at the end of the game, we have other goals. So for example, here, we want to have only 3 different colors. So there are a few different colors in the game, but you only want to have 3 represented in this column to score 2 points. Here, for every 3 blue we have, we would score 2 points. In this column, for every 2 of the older gentlemen, we would score 1 point. Then going across in rows, for every 2 brown, we would score 1 point. And again, they only want to have 3 different colors in the row to score 3 points. So when you're placing guests, you're thinking about fulfilling these requirements as well as end of the game fulfilling these requirements. So there's a lot of strategy in where you're going to place your guests. Now, once you have 4 players or 4 guests at a table, then we score. And you score 1 point if you have 1 pair of guests, 2 points if you have 2 pairs, 3 points if you have 3 of the same guest, 4 points if you have 4 of the same guest, and 5 points if you have 1 of each of the guests. And you also score for color. So if you have 4 different colors, you score 1. If you have 3 different colors, you don't score any points. 2 different colors, you score 2 points. And if you have, two twos. And if you have all the same color, you score 3 points. Now back to the wine glasses that I showed you. If 2 of your guests have wine glasses, you score 2 points. And if all of them have wine glasses, you get to score 4 points. So there's a lot of different scoring in this game. And as well as the end, I'll just show you here with the purple. Every color has different goals they are trying to achieve. So it's the same tile, but in blue, in the turquoise player wants to score blue, the purple player wants to score green. So it's a little different. Same objectives, but just a little different goals. So how do we play? What we do is we turn over this card, and it's going to give us a number. That number refers to how many guests we are placing out. So we would place, in this case, 3 guests on each tile. The player who goes first gets to pick first. So maybe they will want this tile because of those wine glasses, and the other player would get this tile, and that would go to them. So we get to place these people. Now, right away, we know, ooh, the wine glasses here could be good. So maybe we would place 1 person here and 1 person here. So already we have succeeded in having 2 wine glasses at that table. We have this other person here, and we could place them here because we want at least 1 of the young gentlemen at that table. And that would be that round. Everybody would place their tiles back, and we would turn another card. This time there'd only be 2 tiles per, so we will put 2 and 2. We have a lot of the young lady. So maybe this time the player will take this one and we will get this one. Well, here, because we don't want green, but we do want blue, this could be a good area. We also need her there, but we're thinking maybe we'll place it here, just to make sure there's no green there. But I could have placed her here to succeed with that goal as well. So there's a lot of different things you are thinking about. Once you have placed 4 players at a table, that is when you initially score here. So in this case, there is 3 of one person, so we would score 3 points. And we have 3 different colors, so we would score no points, and there is no wine, so we would not score points for that. So we would only start with 3 points for that table. Now, once you get to 10 points, then you're going to exchange one of these guests with one that you have. It could be at a table that's completed, because in this case here, I would turn this over when I complete that table. So maybe if I was exchanging, I would exchange this person for this person, because now I only have now I have that third blue there to get the point. So you can exchange after the table's been turned and it does not affect the score, or you can change out a table that's in place. So if you were forced to place a person somewhere, so say this person had been here, and you got to 10, I could trade this out so I could get another wine glass there even. So you can either play it after you've completed your table, or during a table that's going to be completed. But as I said, once the table is turned over, it will not affect your score for the table, just for your end of game bonuses. And you would just continue like that until you get to the end. And when you get to the end, you will find a card here. And whoever is in last place goes first, and then everybody else, they get to pick first, just to get them a little bit of an advantage to try and get their score higher. And it is timed out that you will end up with exactly the right amount of guests you need to complete the game. And that is basically how the Great Evening Banquet is played. Now, you can also play this game solo, and it's played very similarly. But what you do is you turn over your card, and you have a 2, so we're going to put 2 guests on both tiles. And you would pick which one you would want. So maybe we would go with this tile because we have this goal here to have 2 men. This one doesn't want any of the ladies, so maybe I would put the 2 men here. The other pieces will just be put out of the game. Then you just leave the 1 tile here. You turn it over. And I would put 3 guests here. And that is the tile we would use for that turn. So maybe I would put the wine person here. I could put them there to get the same guest, and maybe this one here to fulfill that goal. Of course, I would, if I completed a table, I would score it. So then what we would do is put these 2 back, and for the next round, we would fill them both again. And so it goes back and forth like that, where you have between, you get to choose which tile you want. So say if you choose that one, these go out of the game. And then in the next round, you would put 4 here, and those would be the only tiles you would get. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you would just continue like that, back and forth between picking a tile and then just choosing this tile. Now, they do have the option here that you can move it here, and you would lose a point at the end of the game, but it would allow you to get rid of these and refill them with some new people. So if you really didn't want that tile, you have the option to do that. And you could do that twice, but each time you would either lose 1 point, or if you did it twice, you would lose 2 points. And then at the end of the game, it has a different, depending where you are here, if you have less than 19 points, then you will have both tiles to choose from. But if you have more than 20 points or more, then you only have one tile to choose from for the last round of the game. And otherwise, it is played and scored exactly the same as the regular game. So overall, I really enjoy playing the Great Evening Banquet. If you enjoyed Calico, I think you would enjoy this game because first you have your table objectives that you're trying to succeed at, and then your table scoring. But then at the end of the game, you have your column scoring where you're trying to get these different goals. But you also have the rows. So you're looking at who's placed here and who's placed here and how you're going to score. Now, personally, I'm not very good at this game. I really enjoy playing the game, but I don't score high. So in the book, if you play solo, they give you some, depending on your points, where you stand. And I haven't gotten past this level. I'm way down here still. However, if you are an expert at this game, they do actually give an expert rules, a different setup, which would be a bit more challenging for you. So the game will grow the more you play in terms of difficulty levels. But as I said, I have not received those points. You can even see here, I just randomly place these players, but here you get 2 points for every brown, and there's not one brown to be seen. So you get some idea of how good I am at playing this game. But with that being said, I really enjoyed it. And I played it solo a lot, and I played it with Gemma. When you play it solo, you can play it within 10 to 15 minutes. It's pretty quick. But with 2 players, both people thinking, depending how quick they think, it's going to be closer to like maybe a 20-minute game. With 4 players, it might get up to 30. It's all set up exactly to the amount of pieces you will need. So it's really well made that way. You're pulling them out of a bag. And yeah, it's just, if you like that sort of strategy of placing people, trying to think of multiple goals at once, then I think this is a game you would enjoy. And of course, if you do not like that sort of strategy, then no, this is not a game you would enjoy, because it is a strategy game on fulfilling goals of multiple levels. So let me know if you have played the Great Evening Banquet and what you think of this game.